What's going on, boxing world? Stay in the middle of Pot Shot Boxing. Just wanted to make this video to let y'all know about what went on last night with the Premier Boxing Champions, the PBC on NBC last night. Two controversial fights last night. You had Peter Quillen and Andy Lee, who got it on. Remember, Peter Quillen did not make weight, so no title was on the line. The WBO middleweight title wasn't on the line in that fight. But early on in that fight, Quillen was able to score a couple of knockdowns in the first and the third. But Andy Lee, he's always resilient. He got up off the canvas and was able to score a knockdown of his own on Quillen later on in the fight. I believe it was round 8 when he scored that knockdown on Peter Quillen. Caught him with a big right hand, set him down. Well, he caught him with the left first and then finished him with the right. So it was a good 1-2 1-2 combo that Quillen got caught with, sent him to the canvas. That was a pretty good fight. I wasn't really upset that it was a draw. I could see where that fight could have been a draw, being as though how Andy Lee just came on late, cocking that left hand that he has, and keep hitting him with it. He kept connecting with Quillen, but Quillen he can take a shot. I give Peter Quillen credit. This was definitely probably the biggest test he's ever had at middleweight in his whole boxing career. So I give him a whole lot of credit for standing up. And I would love to see a rematch. I think Andy Lee deserves a rematch. And maybe this time, hopefully, Peter Quillen can make weight, and we can see a WBO middleweight championship fight. This time out, and so it sets up for a good either summer or a good fall, because I think this should definitely be a rematch, in my opinion. Then you go on to the next main event, which was Lamont Peterson. Well, Danny Garcia versus Lamont Peterson. This was a tricky fight. It was a tricky fight. It was a controversial fight. A lot of people feel that Lamont Peterson should have won this fight. But you cannot be upset that they gave the decision to Danny Garcia, because for the first 4 or 5 rounds, this is the difference. You have to look at it from the judge's standpoint. Everybody was talking about ring generalship. I get that. But what my man Lamont Peterson was doing, he was circling Danny Garcia, in which he was shuffling his feet a lot as he was moving around. That was a big ring last night, so he was moving around the ring, but he was it could maybe look to the judges that he was running a bit in those first early rounds. And even though Danny Garcia didn't do much in those first 4 or 5 rounds, but just by Danny Garcia's motion to come forward, is showing showing the judges that, hey, well, this guy's the one that's initiating the action, even though he was flat-footed at times and coming forward. But sometimes you got boxing where you got to look at, sometimes not get caught up in the moment, as we all are boxing fans. Sometimes you got to look at it and look at what the judges were thinking, or how their thinking went, because a lot of people felt that Lamont Peterson got robbed. But I was kind of mad last night watching the fight, because I was like, dog, Pete, he should have started his attack earlier. He didn't start that attack earlier, and it really frustrated me. Because I kind of wanted Peterson to get that W last night. I can't I can't hide that, but it was frustrating to see how he came on in the later rounds, and he had big rounds, but he showboated a little bit too, which I did not like. I mean, sometimes it's cool, it's good for for the boxing fans to see you showboating and stuff. He did prove that he could do anything in there against Danny Garcia. He could throw anything in land. It was a good show for Peterson, and my prediction was that I didn't think Danny Garcia could get a decision. So I was surprised about him getting the decision, but it wasn't anything that Danny Garcia did. It was more so of what Lamont Peterson did early on when he was circling as opposed to standing in the middle of the ring and kind of hitting and backing up. But he did. I mean, he just circled, man. And sometimes when you circle like that, another fight, because Arislan Lara had a couple of when he fought Canelo Alvarez, he had a couple of those rounds where it may look like he was running, even though it was, some people say it's good boxing, some people say it's running. A lot of the times it's a little bit of both. It's running, and sometimes to the judges it looks like you're not trying to fight. And even though Canelo was moving forward, they were looking at him as the aggressor and the initiator of the fight. So a lot of times you really can't be mad that they gave the fight to Danny Garcia. Um, but I felt bad for my boy Lamont Peterson. I really wanted him to get that W. But I think in a rematch, if Lamont Peterson can just start it a little bit early, do the same thing, do the exact same thing, first couple of rounds, fill out Danny Garcia, and he already knows what power he's dealing with now. So he already knows what he's dealing with. So started up from maybe round 3, maybe, I don't know, but in rounds 1 and 2, I think Peterson should step it up a little bit as well, but not circle so much, but sort of go in and out. He didn't go in and out, and sometimes if he would have been going in and out, moving forward and backwards, I think maybe the judges would have gave him the nod in a couple of those rounds, which the first 4 rounds were swing rounds, so they could have went either way, and they could have looked at it as Peterson just really wasn't boxing at the time. Well, really wasn't fighting at the time, and But anyway, that's pretty much all I had. Just wanted to give y'all a recap of what happened last night. Premier Boxing Champion PBC on NBC last night. It was pretty good. You gotta give credit to Al Heyman. He's putting together these are some really good fights. You got controversy, you got all action fights so far. So I'm loving it. You gotta tip your hat off to them. This is good stuff, and it only gets better. Gonna have a good one next week. I think it's Lucas Matisse and Ruslan Provodnikov. Wow. That's gonna be, whew, I can't. That's one I can't wait for, because I don't think that's going the distance. Somebody getting knocked out in that one. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have. This is Dana Miller of Pot Shot Boxing. If you like my boxing channel and if you like my post, feel free to subscribe here. Use it on this YouTube boxing channel. Or you can go to www.potshotboxing.com, which is the official Pot Shot Boxing website, and you can subscribe there using the floating email boxing form. You can always follow Pot Shot Boxing on Facebook at www.facebook.com/potshotboxing. You can hit me up on Twitter at www.twitter.com/potshotboxing. Pinterest at www.pinterest.com/potshotboxing, Google Plus, Hootsuite, Instagram, all of those different social media entities. All right. Thank y'all so much. This is Dana Miller of Pot Shot Boxing. And like we say at Pot Shot Boxing, it's boxing news and article bites for all walks of life. All right. Take care.